Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Zoom studio. Today, I have the pleasure of having with us the CEO of the Toronto Metro Zoo, Dolf DeJong. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. We also have with us Ariela. She's 8 years old, and her mother, Sigal. Hi, guys.
Hello.
So, tell us, how are the animals doing through this COVID-19?
Well, the animals are doing great. This pandemic caused a lot of changes. We didn't have any guests at our zoo after March 13th, but our animal care staff, we divided into two teams to keep them safe and to make sure we could feed our animals no matter what. And we've also received amazing donations from the community as far as animal food. And we started our scenic safari a few weeks ago. So they've been seeing guests again for the past month or so. And they're looking forward to seeing everybody walking there again soon.
So before we go, tell us about this new program that the zoo is open, or it's sort of open. Please tell us about this program.
Yeah, so our zoo has been open. You know, you'd walk up to those front doors for the past 45 years. And our team, after the closure because of COVID-19, had this new idea. When we reopened to keep people safe, to ensure physical distancing, could we actually have people drive right through the front door of the zoo, use our service roads, our zoo-mobile routes, and our walking paths to see animals safely, to get out of their homes after that long quarantine? So we offered the scenic safari, again, for the past month. And it's been a phenomenal addition to the offerings at our zoo. If you have troubles with mobility or if you're immunocompromised, it's a real nice option for you.
Ariela, what do you think about that? Would you like to go to the zoo? Yes? Okay. No. When you're ready, Ariela, you can jump in and ask any question you want, okay? Okay. I think she's a little shy. Okay. Aside from the drive-through, which I think is amazing, what other is there any other program right now, or all the programs have stopped because of COVID, or we're in different stages of opening?
Yeah, so we rewrote our strategic plan and actually had it approved by our board of management in February. And one of the elements in it was really embracing the use of technology. So today we actually celebrated our 100th Facebook Live session. Every day at 1 o'clock, we're bringing you to animals at the zoo that maybe you haven't met before, telling stories about their natural history and our conservation work. So all of those are found on our Facebook page. We were also doing a lot of school programming up until mid-June. And we're really excited for our members. We're actually going to reopen as a one-way walking path this weekend.
Wow, that is amazing. That's wonderful. Wow, I'm sure those animals are lonely. They need us. We need to go back. That's wonderful. Are you ready to ask a question, Ariela? Okay, go ahead.
Which animals can you see in the drive-thru?
Oh, that's a great question. Thanks for asking. When you come in, you're going to immediately be greeted by our Indian rhinos. You'll see them sometimes on a hot day. They'll be in the water or in the mud, enjoying that. Then you're going to loop around and head to our African savanna, where you can get glimpses of our zebras, our cheetahs, the lions, and one of my favorites, the spotted hyena. You can see them giggling away along the route. And then you head to the Americas, where you can see flamingos, those amazing pink birds, as well as some of our native species, things like the great horned owl, before finishing up, going all the way to Eurasia, where our Przewalski's horses are, and some of those animals. So a real interesting mix of animals waiting to see you when you come through the safari.
Wow.
Wow, go ahead. Okay, so that's awesome. So you're getting ready, I guess, to, what is it, stage 2?
Yep, so stage 2 started on Wednesday. We'll be ready to reopen to members on Saturday, and it's going to be a very different experience. One way, a real focus on those surfaces people can touch, making sure we can keep them clean, making sure people can physically distance. We're a massive site, 500 acres, so making sure people have that room. And we're actually going to have both the scenic safari and the Walk Through Zoo for our members running simultaneously starting this weekend.
So you said your members. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
So our zoo has incredible community support, including around 70,000 members. So those are people who have purchased their annual membership, their annual pass. As valued members, they're going to get the first try and work with us as we get our zoo reopened and used to hosting guests again.
Oh, okay. That's awesome, Mariela. This is something maybe that you should actually we should ask your mother to join you to join as members. That's awesome. You have another question for us, Mariela? I think she's.
We actually had that question about membership. How can we do love the zoo, and we used to go there in the summer usually, but we never had actually a membership. Can you a little bit explain how do we get that membership?
So the best thing to do right now would be to go to our website, torontozoo.com, and look under membership, and that gives you a variety of options depending on how long you would like to be a member for and the nature of your family. So that's probably the best route to do that as we keep working to reopen. Traditionally, we would just have everybody go to the membership office, and we'll have that service available again real soon as well.
Okay. I have a question. You have a program to adopt an animal. That didn't stop because of COVID-19, did it?
It certainly didn't. That's one of those great programs where people get to adopt an animal. And when we say adopt, they get to say, okay, I'm really committed to, say, giraffes or red pandas. And they get a kit. They actually get a certificate that I signed that says thank you for that adoption.
Wow.
Gives them a personal connection to that individual animal and that species, and is so important. Those kind of gestures help support conservation. So when people adopt the Blandings turtle, for instance, that helps us cover the costs of those species recovery programs that are so important to make sure we have wild animals in wild places.
Mm-hmm. So I have actually talked to my sons about it, and one of my sons said, can he adopt a Komodo dragon?
Fantastic.
I guess that's a boy thing, a man thing.
Yeah, they're pretty amazing big animals. People love their feeding strategy. They're big, they're charismatic. They're found in our Australasia pavilion, and again, one of those animals we can't wait to share with our guests again as soon as we can reopen.
So, Ariella, if you had a chance to adopt an animal, which animal would you adopt that is in the Toronto Metro Zoo? Okay. We'll give you some time to think about that, okay? I wanted to ask you about, I thought it was amazing that I saw you have in your website about the fight for animal extinction. How can we help? Like that is a phenomenal cause.
Yeah, so our mission, connecting people, animals, and conservation science to fight extinction, you know, that's what we're about. And a lot of people don't realize what's going on in nature. And it's a really sad story. A lot of species are going extinct with climate change, with plastic pollution, with habitat loss. So there's a lot of things you can do. Starting with thinking about what you use and what you buy every day. You know, do we really need that product? Are we being really conscious of our carbon footprint? How are we getting around? Can we do all our shopping in one trip? Or are we going out and buying one item at a time? Are we carpooling? Those are little gestures. Are we looking at things like our favorite candies and treats? Are they made with sustainable palm oil or not? And of course, you know, by coming to our zoo, you know, we literally spend millions of dollars a year on conservation. And by buying an admission ticket, you're helping support conservation, and you're learning more about what's going on so you can better support them in your day-to-day life.
I think that's a subject that we need to really educate more about the extinction of animals, because I don't think a lot of people are aware of, you know, which animals, what's going on, you know, in nature. I know I had to educate myself, so great program. And the other program I want to go into is the volunteer, because you have a volunteer program, which I thought was amazing. Can you tell us who you're going to take as volunteers? Everybody is welcome, or how does the work, you know, how does it work?
So again, our volunteer program is incredible. They're largely educators and people who are passionate about the work our zoo does protecting species. And we have regular intakes, so you can apply online at our website, torontozoo.com. And there's quite a bit of training we do in order to get people ready to equip them. There's a lot to learn about our zoo with 5,000 animals and 500 acres and over 10 kilometers of trails. So we want to equip people to be successful. And then they become these incredible guides, connecting people to our work, sharing their passion. And they're one of the things we've really missed with the closure. Our volunteers, they are at all ages and stages of life. But unfortunately, they haven't been able to come to the zoo during the pandemic, and we can't wait to get them back.
I understand. So, because you said there's a lot of training, can like teenagers? Yeah. I'm just wondering. Okay, just wanted to know if it also applies to teenagers that want to, because I know that Ariela has an older sister that might want to volunteer.
She actually wanted to ask about it.
Go ahead.
What age the volunteering starts. Yeah, she has a bigger sister. She's going to go to high school soon. So we want to know when, what age requirements.
So I guess the website will give you all that information. Ariela, if you have a question, you can always jump in and ask, okay? Okay.
Can you still buy a city pass?
The city passes, we look forward to selling again soon, but a lot of our partners with City Pass, they're like us. They're just in the process of reopening. So we're still working through that.
So the answer is soon. Soon, Ariela, I will be there. I want to ask you a question, which I found really fascinating, that on one of your quotes, somebody asked you a question and you said, see if I get the quote correct, that you are one of the last of the generation of free-range kids. What does that mean? Explain.
I was incredibly fortunate. In about grade 6, my family moved to the country to 50 acres, and my parents gave me a tremendous amount of freedom to spend time in the outdoors, in the forests of the Niagara Escarpment, exploring, falling in love with nature, and literally being that kid who was outside, until dusk, and getting the bug bites and building tree forts. And it was a wonderful, wonderful way to grow up. And I think that's where my lifelong love of nature started. And I'm just so grateful that I get to continue today to share that with people at our zoo.
I like that quote. Amazing. Can you tell us, how was it, because you started, and before being the CEO of the Toronto Metro Zoo, you actually working, you were like the vice president of aquarium like in Vancouver, if I'm not mistaken. How's the transition between like Vancouver in aquarium to coming to Toronto to the Metro Zoo?
Well, there's lots of pieces to that. It's certainly a lot drier in the zoo world. But, when you look at the missions of these organizations, connecting people to nature, affecting positive change, to be a voice for the natural world, my entire career has been rooted in that. It actually goes to my time in botanical gardens and also in conservation authorities and provincial parks. It's always been about teaching and connecting people to nature. So the zoo is an amazing place to do that. I'm actually from just outside of Toronto, so the opportunity to come home and serve in our community and reconnect here in Ontario has really been a dream come true.
That's awesome.
Do the turtles have a special thing they do?
Well, we have a lot of turtles at the zoo, and a lot of them have neat adaptations, right? Starting with those big tortoises that live out on land and they're able to survive those dry conditions, to those aquatic turtles like we have right here in Ontario. Yesterday, I was actually in the Rouge National Urban Park with our great partners at Parks Canada and the provincial government and the Toronto and Region Conservation Authority, and we actually let 57 Blandings turtles, these Blandings turtles, bright yellow chin, we let them go there because 10 years ago, when we counted those turtles, we only found 7 in the entire Rouge watershed. So we've released almost 400 of those animals in the past 5 years, and we're really excited to be actively working with our partners to help get those wild animals reestablished for years to come.
Wow, like 7? That means like they were about to be like in the danger of being extinct. Like this is like, wow.
Yeah, at 7 animals, that population was functionally extinct. And
Wow.
turtles live a long time. Blanding's turtles can live up to 80 years. They live as long as hopefully you or I can. And they don't actually start having baby turtles until, you know, they're in their early teens, 10 years or so. So it takes a long time to get the population reestablished. And we're going to keep releasing turtles for the next 20 years to make sure when Ariella's gets older that there's lots of turtles then as well.
Wow. Wow, I didn't realize, like you always think about extinct, you think of animals, you know, like in the jungle. You know, you don't think that it's the animals that we know and love just around us. Why have they been so like to reduce to 7? Like is it something that we are not, as humans, not helping nature?
Yeah,
is it something else we can do?
Yeah. Well, there's an awful lot going on, of course, as we've urbanized, as we build more houses, as we break up the habitat where they live, as we drain wetlands. Those are all major problems. And now we're learning more about that and we're taking steps. And when we support the foundation or the establishment of something like Rouge National Urban Park, we're taking a real positive step, not just for turtles, but all those other animals and plants and insects that share that area and can call it home as well. And now our job is to help those ecosystems recover and help them become robust. And that's right here in our city. And you look across our province, you know, there's endangered species, things like loggerhead shrikes, where we're breeding these amazing little songbirds and releasing them, and they then migrate every year. And then further afield, you know, our work in the prairies with black-footed ferrets, or out in Vancouver Island with Vancouver Island marmots. You know, we dream of a world where wildlife and wild spaces thrive, and humans have had such a big impact. That's something we can do to help. And every day people make choices that can help. By thinking about how they impact conservation, thinking about single-use plastics, thinking about sustainable seafood. So there's lots of steps people can take, and we're happy to help them with that at the zoo.
That's awesome. So in your I'm trying to think how to put this question. How important it is for us to be in nature, to be connected to nature? How important it is to us as humans?
Well, I think a lot of folks have really had how important it is clarified during this pandemic, as they've been quarantined, as they've been inside, as they haven't been able to get out and reconnect. And the studies are clear. Richard Louv, an author who wrote Last Child in the Woods, was very clear about the mental health benefits, particularly for children, of being outside, and the merits of unstructured play and getting to explore in a safe way. And also, you know, low risk play. Those are key elements that, as our lives get more structured, as we get more urban, get harder. But getting outside, you know, literally being out in trees, being out in nature, we know it's good for our mental health and well-being. And visiting places like our zoo, there's some great studies that have been done that show they help increase retention of knowledge as people are actually studying and learning about animals, and that students who actually had a zoo experience as part of a science curriculum scored better on their tests than those that didn't. So there's important roles we can play. We still have a lot of work to do that better and more effectively, but I'd strongly encourage folks to make sure, as part of their day-to-day life, they take that moment to get outside and reconnect.
That's why I asked you the question, because I mean, life is different with COVID-19. There's no question. And I think everybody, I don't think there's any person around this globe that doesn't feel, you know, the difference in life, COVID-19. Ariella, do you want to ask us something about the animals or about nature? Do you miss, let me ask you a question. Do you miss not being outside? Because I know you've been home for a long time too. Do you miss not being outside? Not taking walks in nature, not going to the zoo?
Yes.
Yes, what? Okay. I want you to know that, you know, if we were not in zoo, she doesn't stop talking.
It's all good. You know, and I think that's, you know, different people, different experiences have different impact. And our job is to meet people where they are, and whether that's digitally or whether that's in person, whether that's when they're having a great day or whether they're struggling, you know, our job is to try to meet them where they are and help make those connections.
So I know it's not going to happen today, because, you know, of COVID-19, and I know you're in the process, but I know that I think people want to know that you do have such programs, and you will have them in the future, is the camp, which I thought fascinating, that you actually have, you know, camps for kids. Not now, guys. It will happen at, you know, maybe next summer. But you actually have like a program, like a camp program for kids. It's great.
Yeah, it's amazing. We get to host children at the zoo in the summer. They get assembled with an age group that's similar to them, and they literally get to be, you know, kind of like zookeepers and rangers and explorers for an entire week, including for the older children the opportunity to spend a night in our African savannah in these amazing sector tents and go to sleep with lions roaring in the background. And, you know, we talk about travel and experiences, and everybody doesn't have the wealth and the ability to travel to Africa to have these experiences, but they can get them right in their community at their zoo. And we hope that's a big part of them developing their conservation-minded identity.
Amazing. You should start girls' night in the zoo. You'll have a lot of, I think it's great.
So Gila, about your question about COVID-19, how the kids react to it and if they miss going outside, they do actually miss very much going outside, and especially going to those nice places like the zoo. And Ariella has kind of a different experience right now because we cannot visit personally. So Ariella, do you want to talk about your experience?
I had a virtual field trip for my schoolwork, and I saw a painting elephant.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Wow.
Did they use a few different colors? Did they? What was the picture they painted? Could you tell, or was it tough?
It was a tree with 2 elephants and grass.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
The elephant wrote its name.
Yeah. Remember the elephant's name by chance?
Its name is Jess.
Okay, very nice. That sounds like a really fun experience for you.
Awesome. So I want to ask, so in the summer you have so many programs. Again, not in COVID-19, but you know, normal, and we'll go back to normal. There's a lot of programs in the summer. What happens in the winter? Because I mean, Canada has, especially Toronto, they can have some hard, you know, winters.
We're really excited that ideally we can flatten the curve and we can get on with a reinvention of our zoo for this winter, which will include our Terra Lumina light show. So that's a walkthrough light show that happens in the evenings starting this fall. We did it last year for a few months, but it was cut short. And it's amazing. It's a story that we're actually in the future. We've transported ourselves to 2099, and we've made the changes required to save wild animals and wild spaces. So we're excited to offer that. We're also excited we've actually received new Zoomobiles. So people who visited the zoo in the summer will be used to jumping on our zoo train, if you will, and traveling around the site. We now have closed-in ones that will be operating this winter to help you get around the site when it's a little bit colder. If that helps us stay warm, that's going to be a new opportunity as well that we're looking forward to bringing out. And continuing to look at varying our experiences to get people outside, to get them out of their houses, ideally having great times with their family and learning about what's going on in nature.
Awesome. I got to tell you, I have a message for all those stuff for my viewer, because I've been asked so many times, you know, like they're going crazy at home. What can we do with the kids? Well, this is your answer. You take them to the zoo. There's so many things that are happening there, even during COVID-19. So, I mean, all they have to do is check your website and, you know, see what's available on a weekly basis. And you've got it made. Take your kids to the zoo. It's like, I'm so happy you came, because really, I didn't, you know, some of us didn't know that, you know, the zoo is operating, and I'm so happy to let everybody know that this is something that, you know, you can enjoy with your children now. Don't have to stay at home. Get your kid in the car and go to the zoo. Awesome. You're doing such a great job. This is amazing. Like, really.
And for people with your children, you know, membership's a great value. Less than 3 trips, it'll pay for itself. And the great part about having your membership, you can come for 15 minutes, an hour, or 4 hours, and we'll be there for you. And we look forward to seeing you out at our site.
That's amazing. So Ariella, you're going to take a membership, and you're going to start going to the zoo. And maybe as you get older, you can start getting involved, because I know she loves animal. You can start getting involved and volunteer and go to camp and do all the, you know, wonderful thing that the zoo has to offer. So, Ariela, before we close the show, do you have any other question?
Yeah. For the zoo birthday party, what kind of birthday party is it? Like, is it outside or inside?
So thank you for asking that. And, you know, of course, a birthday party at the zoo is going to be the best ever. And we have an indoor space for you to get together with your friends. So just in case it rains, you have a safe place to stay dry and you can cut your cake. And then we usually take a tour to help you have a special experience meeting an animal. And all of that's done with an amazing guide who's passionate about the zoo and will share that with you.
Awesome. So, Ariela, maybe your next birthday we'll all go to celebrate it in the zoo.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, I think it would be great. Thank you so much for taking the time and speaking to me and to my viewer and to Ariela and Sigal. We really appreciate it. And I hope to see you soon in the zoo. Like, I want to come and visit.
Well, you can get tickets for the Scenic Safari online right now. And again, we look forward to hosting our regular guests, hopefully in the next few weeks to a month.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ariela, for coming, for joining us, our Zoom show. Thank you, Sigal. And thank you so much for coming. And I hope you can join us again and after COVID-19 and give us more information on what's going on in the zoo.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys next week.